Hello friends. Escobares is a city in Starr County, Texas, United States. Texas is the second largest state in the United States, after Alaska, with an area, 696,200 square kilometers. In terms of area, Texas is nearly twice as large as Germany or Japan, more than twice as large as Vietnam. If independent, Texas would be the 40th largest country in the world, ranking behind Chile and Zambia. Until the end of the 17th century, all of Texas and Mexico were Spanish colonies in a state called New Spain. By the early 19th century, new streams of immigrants from America appeared in the eastern region of Texas. Texas has a strong presence in national and international popular culture. The state is closely associated with the cowboy image portrayed in Western films and Western country music. The state's oil tycoons have also been a subject of popular culture, as seen in the television series Dallas. The poorest city in America. Escobares gained in size when it became a city, having a total area of 2.7 square miles, 7.0 square kilometers, of which 2.6 square miles, 6.7 square kilometers, was land and 0.1 square miles, 0.3 kilometers to 6.86%, is the land area. The population was 2,588 at the 2020 census. The city was founded in 2005 with 600 households. 40% of the population is under 18 years old, which means they cannot make money yet. In 1940, the settlement included a store, a school, a church and a population of 10 people. In 1990, it had 1,705 residents, several shops and a school. In 2011, the city opened its first fire station. CDP's average income per capita is $5,726. In 2019, the BBC reported that 62% of residents lived below the poverty line, the highest rate of any city in the United States. The majority of the population, that is, 98%, are Hispanics, who are forced to take on the hardest and lowest paying jobs. What does this city have? There is no central location or something like that. Escobares is a city divided in two by Highway 83. East of the highway is a village in the middle of a dusty road behind the cemetery. There was no culture, livestock or many people. Sometimes only the sound of wind or a dog barking in the distance is heard, as if a clock has collapsed. Across the highway appeared a river. Here, instead of wind and dogs, one hears the sound of a border patrol helicopter, followed by a truck checking for strangers. And in the sky, a surveillance radar accurately tracks every movement below. Right into this city, immigrants and flour were brought. Gunfire is sometimes heard at night. At first glance, Escobares doesn't look like the poorest city in America. There are no homeless addicts like those living on the streets of Los Angeles, nor the poverty of the racially segregated suburbs of major city centers like Detroit or Baltimore. But once inside, Latin American-style poverty appears. Across the river is Mexico. The Rio Grande River, known in Mexico as Rio Bravo del Norte, or simply Rio Bravo, is a river that flows from the southwestern U.S. state of Colorado to the Gulf of Mexico. Part of the river forms the Mexico-United States border. The length of the river changes according to the flow. According to the International Boundary and Water Commission, the total length of the river is 3,051 kilometers. The name Rio Grande is Spanish for Great River. In Mexico, the name of the river is Rio Bravo or Rio Bravo del Norte, bravo meaning fierce or brave. A riverside city on the Mexican side used this name for the city. The Death River for people crossing the border into the U.S. To cope with the strong current, they tied their belts together to form a rope, clinging to it together to cross the river. The scene of lines of people crossing the Rio Grande River only stops when sunset falls. On the journey across the border from Mexico to the US, many people had to die in the rushing waters. And, even if they are lucky enough to cross the Rio Grande River, migrants still have to face barbed wire fences on US territory. If in the summer, migrants face the risk of death from heat stroke, in the winter, they face the risk of freezing to death on the journey to find the promised land. While many people tried to find a way to cross the Rio Grande, others chose to cross vast deserts and canyons to reach America. Why did you cross the Mexican border into the US? According to what people here share, ordinary people, good people here, they hope that the flow of people crossing the border will not come towards them. The American dream is a concept known to almost the whole world. For a long time, America has always been a place where many people around the world, especially from poor countries, have wanted to find opportunities to settle. Illegal border crossing happens every day and is a chronic headache for US officials. In recent years, the number of people illegally crossing the southern border of the United States has been increasing. There is a misunderstanding that many people believe that the majority of illegal immigrants entering the United States are Mexicans. In addition to Mexicans, there are also Asians, Africans and people from Central and South America. In recent years, the number of illegal immigrants has increased sharply, especially in countries with many economic and political problems. Economics is always the leading reason driving the flow of illegal immigrants. The number of immigrants from countries such as Haiti, Venezuela, Nicaragua and African countries gradually accounts for the majority. Haiti is considered the poorest country in the Americas. Since the 2010 earthquake, Haiti's economic situation has worsened, and has never shown signs of recovery. Meanwhile, Venezuela is a country with abundant petroleum resources, but because of weak economic policies and governance, the Venezuelan economy is in serious recession. Many people also ask why people don't cross the border from Canada to the US but instead go from Mexico up. This depends on many factors, first of all geography. Although the US-Canada border is not strictly guarded, few people choose to cross the border because it is very cold. The harsh climate makes Canada a natural wall behind the United States. Second, Mexico is a country with an open tourism policy, so applying for a visa is very easy. This causes many border crossers to choose to go to Mexico and from there cross the border into the US by land or water. America-Mexico fence. The United States-Mexico border wall is a series of walls and fences along the United States-Mexico border intended to prevent illegal immigration from Mexico into the United States and vice versa. The US-Mexico border is more than 3,000 kilometers long, of which 1,050 kilometers is separated by walls or fences. The rest have to go through difficult and dangerous geographical areas. The border passes through 4 US states, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. The first wall erected on the border between the US and Mexico was completed more than a century ago, in 1911. In fact, that wall was just a simple fence, about 30 kilometers long, designed to prevent Mexican cattle from straying to the United States, and to prevent the spread of disease. Mexican immigration to the United States, whether legally or illegally, continues to increase. Therefore, from being invisible, the border fence gradually became a reality with strict management under US immigration law. Currently, right at the time you are watching this video, a wave of migrants is still pouring into the Mexico and US border, despite dangers to find their way into the US. This situation is putting increasing pressure on American cities. And the recent information also ends today's story. If you find the video interesting, please click like, subscribe to the channel to support, as well as to receive the earliest notification every time our video is broadcast. For now, goodbye and see you again.